Welcome dear viewers and aspirant. I am Kanhaiya Jha, your guide, your mentor, your faculty for the subject Geography. Here I bring you some questions that has been asked in KAS examination, and all these questions are quite dynamic, quite conceptual, that demands your clarity about the fact, about the concept. Again in this session I will discuss with you the key facts dimension required for mains answer writing. You know very well, mains answer writing is quite different from your school days, different from your the college days. Mains answer writing requires some aspect, some dimension. So let us start with question. I will guide you one by one the criteria for best answer, for a good answer, and the facts, the dimension that is required to be followed by the aspirant during the examination. So let us start discussion on this topic very fresh. Look, actually, first I would like to share with you a question. Thereafter, I will one by one guide you how to write the questions, what type of dimensions you should always keep in mind while writing the answers. So here the question is, what is temperature inversion? Explain the impact on local weather condition with suitable examples. So look, very first step you shall follow while attempting a question. Identify the keywords. Identify the keywords. The demands of question you can identify, you can figure out while reading the question. So that is very first step. So here the first part of question is asking about the theoretical part of the temperature inversion, while second part is upon the weather condition, influence of impact of the temperature inversion on the affected area. So here the question is divided clearly into two parts. The very first part is the theory of temperature inversion, and second part is the application of temperature inversion. Now, getting this, having idea about the keywords, now you have to design, you have to figure out your structure. So you must work out on a structure, and that will be a mental construct. So you need to you need to frame a structure. Look, actually, what would be the structure of this straightforward question? A structure would be quite clear. Here it requires an introduction. Introduction must not be over 20 to 30 words. So you shall try to summarize the basic idea about temperature inversion within 30 words, 20 to 30 words. Here you may write about temperature inversion, even the area of influence or their dimension. I will guide you how to write the introduction later on with this question. Again, thereafter, there will be part of main body of the answer. Main body will involve two dimensions mainly. First part, the theoretical dimension of temperature inversion, and second part will be the influence, and finally you need to write here the conclusion. So let us start all the detail one by one with this question. Very first, what would be the meaning of temperature inversion? So I would like to first give you an insight about the concept what is temperature inversion. I think most of you have aware about the concept temperature inversion, but I would like to discuss with whom those are not aware with the concept. Look, temperature inversion is the condition prevailing in our troposphere. You know very well what is the condition of troposphere. That is the normal condition. Normal condition, first understand the troposphere. Troposphere, you know very well, is the lowermost layer of our atmosphere surrounding our Earth, planet Earth. So planet Earth is surrounded by the lower level of atmosphere. This layer is called troposphere. What is interesting in troposphere? Suppose this is ground surface. So usually what happens in troposphere, temperature decreases with increasing height. It means that Near surface, temperature found about 15 degrees Celsius on an average. With increasing height, it decreases. How much it decreases? Depending upon the height, altitude. Near the equator, temperature reaches about 80 degree minus 80 degree Celsius. While temperature at polar region reaches about minus 40 degrees Celsius. That is the average drop of temperature in troposphere. How it happens? So this is because of the normal lapse rate. Normal lapse rate, you know very well, that is a rate that explains how temperature decreases with increasing height. There is a fixed rate of the decline in temperature. Temperature at every kilometer decreases about 6.5 degree Celsius. So this way, near the equator, height of troposphere is quite greater than the height found near the polar region. So that is the normal condition, and here you can identify the lower strata of atmosphere is occupied by warm air. Again, above this, the layer found is cold layer. Cold layer. Warm air over, that is cold layer, and finally it comes, that is cold layer, and that is colder layer. So this way, the stratification of the air found in troposphere with height, the temperature decreases in troposphere. But what about the temperature inversion? Temperature inversion is an abnormal condition. What is interesting with temperature inversion? So low-lying area means the ground surface experiences a very low temperature. So this becomes a colder layer. Colder layer while temperature inversion occurs. Colder layer of air is superimposed or is overimposed by the warm layer. So if there is the decline in temperature with increasing height, temperature start reducing with increasing height. Such a phenomenon is quite reverse, quite inverse to the prevailing phenomena of troposphere. You can see here temperature decreases with increasing height in troposphere, but in temperature inversion condition, temperature starts dropping with increasing height. However, it over some height, after some height, it starts again increasing. So that is the behavior. At some height, you may find the temperature is increasing with increasing height. So if such a condition may prevail, the atmospheric condition is called temperature inversion, and that is exactly inverse to the conditions of troposphere. So here the key demand of question is to explain this concept. You should make it clear that the context and the content is the master of answer writing. Okay, so let us start the first answer of this question. What is temperature inversion and how it affects the local weather conditions? Now I am taking here the part of intro. So in introduction, you need to write about temperature inversion. About temperature inversion, write here in short. What is temperature inversion? So temperature inversion is the short term atmospheric condition where the temperature increases with increasing height. What is the condition? So temperature increases with increasing height. That is the first line, first sentence we shall draft here to define this temperature inversion. Is the short-term atmospheric phenomena where temperature increases with increasing height. This is the inverse condition of the prevailing condition in troposphere. In troposphere, temperature decreases with increasing height. Again, you may write here one more point, that is it influences the affected area at large. So that will be the part of the introduction. Now come to the next point, that will be main body. Main body. So you shall try here one more thing to impress your examiner. After writing the temperature inversion here, defining the temperature inversion, having defined temperature inversion, you have to draw a diagram that I have drawn earlier. You should draw the diagram of normal atmospheric condition as well as the conditions of temperature inversion. To normal atmospheric condition, so this will you may explain the concept. This is our surface. Above surface there is warm layer. Over it there is a cool layer. Thereafter it is cold layer. So temperature decreases with increasing height in normal condition. In the inversion condition, temperature increases with increasing height, that is a cold layer. Thereafter there will be a cool layer. Thereafter there will be a warm layer. So if such a condition prevail, means temperature increases with increasing height, that is the condition of temperature inversion. So you have to draw this diagram while writing introduction. Now let us start the main body. Now begin main body with the more dimension about, make heading, separate heading you should try to make here, frame here, more about the temperature inversion. More about temperature inversion. So what would be more? So here first write that temperature inversion occurs in certain conditions. There are certain conditions that supports the formation of the inverse condition in the troposphere. So let us start discussion on the conditions that is essential for temperature inversion. So you may here write about condition. You may do several type of style. You may follow several type of style. The very first and quite common style you may work out this way. Very first is our long night. If there is long night, you know very well, long night allow terrestrial radiation. So our earth during long night radiates more heat, and over the time it gets cooled down. So surrounding air after connecting with the earth surface, it starts cooling down, and here the air found near the ground surface becomes colder. It may possible overlying air may be warm. So such a condition may prevail if there is a long night over 12 hour, 14 hour, 16 hour taking place. In that case, earth get cooled down and the surrounding air will lose the temperature after getting contact to the earth's surface. Second point, that is clear, cloudless sky. Cloudless sky. You know very well our high clouds in our atmosphere. High cloud particularly you will learn during the classes. High clouds like cirrus cloud, cirrostratus cloud are composed of mainly ice particle, mainly ice, tiny ice crystal, that is technically it is ice crystal. So when our earth radiates terrestrial radiation, such a cloud reflects it back to the surface and maintains the heat around the earth. But if it is a cloudless sky, means there is no cloud, in that case terrestrial radiation may goes into the outer space. So this way over the time temperature may reduce near the surface because of cooling of the earth. Next factor you may highlight here, calm and stable atmospheric condition. If there is movement in air, horizontal movement in air. Suppose warm air is blowing from different side. In that case, the prevailing inversion condition may not evolve. That may be damaged, maybe disturbed by the prevailing wind if it is warm or if it is cool. So cool wind or warm wind may disturb the prevailing condition. Again, you may write here like the snow covered area or ice covered surface. You know very well, ice covered surface are those able to reflect more light. So with very high albedo, the snow cover area reflects more light, and thereafter what happens to the temperature of the underlying surface remain very cool, and that makes the conditions for the temperature inversion. So this way you may write about 4 or 5 points with respect to the condition. Again, I am suggesting you there is about the demand of 250 words. So you shall invest with the temperature inversion about 125 words. So you shall try to cover up the main body with diagram with these dimension. Again, you may write one more dimension here. This dimension you shall cover within 50 words. 50 to 60 word will be enough for the conditions. Now, the demand of question is the type of temperature inversion. So you know very well, temperature inversion are of different type. There are about 4 type of temperature inversion. Very first is called valley inversion. Valley inversion. So you know very well, valley inversion are the type of inversion taking place in the mountainous valley during the daytime. During the daytime, due to overheating of the slope area, the cold wind starts blowing from the valley region. That is called valley wind, valley breezes. Over the time, valley breezes get cool downs and sink here. Again, valley experiences a very cold weather during the daytime. While during night time, the same valley come under the influence of subsiding mountain breezes. That is again lowers the temperature of the valley. Similarly, there is the subsidence inversion. Subsidence inversion, you know very well, taking place where? So taking place in the area of high pressure, like polar region experiences such a subsidence of air. Similarly, our subtropical high pressure belt experiences the subsidence of air. So this way, 2 types. Again, you may write here coastal inversion, about the coastal area due to land bridges and sea bridges experiences the coastal inversion. So this way you may highlight 4 or 5. Again, there is the radiation inversion. Radiation inversion. So radiation inversion is the case of long night. During long night, Earth radiates more. In that case, Earth gets cooled down and surrounding air loses the temperature while coming into the contact of the Earth. So this way what is taking place? So there are several conditions that makes temperature inversion possible. Now the next part will begin. Now the next part will begin. Next part. So next part here I am taking another page so that I will guide you. Next part is part B. Part B. Influence of temperature inversion on local weather conditions. So that is part B. To write part B, you shall try to draw clear cut here the headings. Draw headings. Up now, learn this. From where we shall take the words for our headings. To always collect words from question. Here make heading impact of temperature inversion on local weather condition. local weather condition. That is the same word. You need to follow the mandate of question always. Only you will attract the examiners. Okay, so right here, impact of temperature inversion. What are the impact here? So very first condition is that temperature inversion hinders always a rainfall, that creates dry weather condition. Dry weather condition. How it creates dry weather condition? So it is quite obvious. Suppose if ground surface is occupied by the cold air, this way I am taking here, that is occupied by the cold air. So cold air, you know, as being heavy, as being stable, do not allow water vapor to move upward. So in this way, cold air may increase the dryness, and prolonged inversion case may lead to formation of desert here. So this way, that is the dry weather and formation of desert. And best example, you know very well, that the plateau of Tibet region, Trans-Himalaya region, even some part of Andes experiences the temperature inversion conditions, and this way such area is not able to provide us some sort of resources. So resources or agriculture or plantation are being hindered by the dry weather condition. Again, next point is our temperature. So that reduces, that alters the temperature of the surrounding area by making it cooler. So it makes it the cool surface that makes temperature very cool. What about the natural vegetation and plant? Vegetation and plant. So this affects the growth of natural vegetation and plant by lowering the surrounding temperature. With very low temperature, sometime during the night and early morning, when condensation takes place, the water droplets turn into the frost. So this causes frost. So whenever frost formation takes place, this blocks the stomata, that is respiratory system of the plants, and finally this causes death of plant. So natural vegetation are adversely affected, are quite harshly affected by the temperature inversion condition. And you know very well, in Brazil, the plantation of coffee is carried out on mountain slope, not the valley, because of this frost condition. Again, next point, sometime it obscure the visibility. How it obscure the visibility? So it obscure visibility by formation of fog. In contact with cold air, when warm air comes, so when warm air come in contact of cold surrounding air, it starts losing heat, and this way water vapor starts condensation near the surface and formation of fog takes place. If there is fog, means there is the visibility, and visibility, you know, is fundamental for our transportation, is our communication, as well as the fog blocks the sun rays, the incoming solar radiation. To prolonged period of fog may not only disturb the communication but also harm the plant and natural vegetation. So overall impact. Again, next part, what about on pollution? So you know very well what I discussed, कि cold air are quite stable. Cold air are quite stable, that hardly moves from one place to another place. If there is emission of the carbon dioxide, if there is emission of, suppose, the nitrous oxide, sulfur dioxide, all will blocked by the cold air, and that is the case of inversion. So during inversion, usually city or the area, industrial area faces serious problem. Respiratory system is affected by such atmospheric gases. So this way you may write 5 or 6 point for the impact on local weather conditions. You may add more point. Again, you may highlight in conclusion that this way temperature inversion determines, in conclusion, temperature inversion though is the short term phenomena but affects the regions at large. The temperature weather conditions are controlled by the atmospheric conditions. This way. So that is a concluding line in form of conclusion. So this way you write this question. Write about the temperature inversion in introduction, thereafter main body to explain more about temperature inversion with diagrams, with examples, thereafter mix heading local weather condition and go with the dimensions, and this way you will write a good answer with these points. And diagrams can be can increase your marks. So that is the answer. Now one more question I would like to discuss with you, that is the explain the geographical factors responsible for predominance of vineyard in the Mediterranean region. Look, actually again this require deep understanding of geography. You can understand here by reading of this question. First, the key demand is geographical factors. Geographical factors is factors may be climatological factor, maybe our the geographical mountains, geomorphical factor, geomorphological factors like our mountain, their slope, their orientation, even the conditions of soil. So you have to write all about here. Again, a vineyard in Mediterranean region. So that is the 150 words question. So you have to write here quite straightforward. So like the previous one, we have to draw mental construct for our structure, for our content. So you may write here for first introduction. Introduction must be very short, very concise, very crisp. You have to write here, vineyard is the predominant feature of Mediterranean region. Country like Italy, Spain, Turkey, known for the very well designed and very old vineyard due to availability of the citrus fruits like olive, grapes, even orange. This region becomes the vineyard of the world. Simply write this. Again, if you are able to draw the diagram, so go with a diagram of the Mediterranean region. You know very well कि Mediterranean. One more thing I would like to suggest you. If you are drawing the diagram below the introduction, then make sure diagram must be surrounded by rectangular box with name and heading. So here you may draw like diagram. This is the Africa, this way Africa, and here between Africa and Europe the area of Mediterranean Sea lies. This is our India, so that is Mediterranean Sea. You may highlight here the area of Mediterranean Sea, this way, area of Mediterranean Sea. So that is surrounding area, and that is known for the vineyard of the world. That is vineyard of the world. So you may draw this way and write here the area of Mediterranean Sea. Now this time for main body. Main body. For main body, you need to keep in mind the key concern of the question. Key concern is quite obvious, geographical factor. So make simple heading from question कि geographical factors for the development of vineyard around Mediterranean Sea. Now one by one, let us discuss the geographical factors here. Very first, you know very well, the Mediterranean Sea enjoy a very moderate temperature, particularly during summer and winter, that experiences a mean average temperature about 20 to 30 degree Celsius. This ideal temperature supports here the plantation of the citrus fruit, and citrus fruit is the raw material for the wine production. So wine is ultimately the product of the citrus fruit, and this temperature supports the growth of that vineyard. Again, rainfall pattern. So here what is interesting, rainfall occurs during the season of winter. Winter rainfall supposed to be beneficial for citrus fruit like the olives, like suppose grapes. So this way that is being cultivated here. Again, next point we will take here, that is moisture. So you can identify here the Mediterranean Sea is our Mediterranean region is surrounding the Mediterranean Sea, and Mediterranean Sea provide here sufficient moisture. Moisture is fundamental for the citrus fruit to have juice. So juice can be there if there is moisture content in the atmosphere. Otherwise, they may dry up. So this way. Again, take other points like for example here, that is nature of soil. So most of the soil are rich in lime, and lime is one of the factor that makes the region very able to produce the citrus fruit. Similarly, you can add aspect about the moisture soil, about the terrain. Next one is terrain. So terrain means slope. You know that this region is quite sun facing. Most of the area that has been under the cultivation of the citrus fruit lying to the sunny slope of Alps mountain, and here. So they are receiving sunlight during the blossoming season, during the ripening season. So this way what is going on? So with this factor, the cultivations of the citrus fruit and development of vineyard is supported by the climates. Now, after this, you need to write a conclusion in short. So this way, geographical conditions enables the Mediterranean region to produce more wine to the entire world, and that makes this the wine yard of the world. So this way in short you may conclude your answer. Nutshell is that while writing the answer in geography, you have to draw some diagrams, you have to identify the dimensions that determining the things. Okay, so I think that I have discussed multiple things with you, and hopefully you have enjoyed. That is part of your preparation. Or if you have any doubt or queries with respect to these dimensions, you are very welcome. You can ask, you can comment, and again I will bring you the new topic in future. So be connected with the channel. All the best all of you, aspirant, and thank you all watching this video. Bye bye.